Hey guys, Jeff back here with the '09 Cadillac CTS. So I figured out the problem, and it was actually quite simple. But once I got the wheel off, I just took it for a test drive just to make sure that all the sounds were gone, and sure enough they are. So I got it jacked back up here. I'm just gonna take the wheel off again. By the way, electric impacts are just such a handy tool. Okay, so I'll take the wheel off here. Try and do this with one hand. Okay, so here we are. Okay, let me go this side. So like I said, car has brand new brake pads installed. Rotors were in very good shape with a lot of thickness left, no scratches or marring or binding or anything like that. Dual piston caliper that was in great shape, so there was no point in suspecting that. And like I said, guys, this was a metal on metal howl. But a little bit about the screech was it was only 40 kilometers an hour and under. So when you were just coasting, just cruising, and it didn't matter if the brakes were applied or weren't applied. But the exact same sound as when your pads are just completely worn and metal on metal and hitting the squealers. That was the exact same sound coming from the driver's front here. So, you know, what does all the YouTube guys like me do? We start researching, we start Googling things, we go to online forums, we try and see what the most likely culprit is. And the most likely culprits for this car is, well, A, obviously brakes, but that was eliminated. We had replaced the pads, checked the rotors, checked the function of the calipers. That was good. The next two culprits were wheel bearings. These cars are prone for wheel bearings. They go within like 30 to 40,000 clicks and stuff like that. But it didn't make sense. My general understanding with wheel bearings, and I've had a lot of them blow out, they usually progress, they get worse over time. The noise gets louder as you're driving faster. And depending on what side they are, if you have a front left wheel bearing and you turn right, that may quiet down the sound or increase the sound. Steering has a lot to do with the actual noise of the wheel bearing. This car didn't have any of that. It just had a low metal on metal howl from 40 kilometers an hour and under. But as soon as you got on the gas and got above 40 clicks, it was completely gone. Or if the car was completely cold first thing in the morning, it was completely gone. I just couldn't figure it out. So I talked to some guys on the message, on the forums and stuff like that on Facebook, Cadillac CTS forums. And they talked about the lower control arm bushings. So there's one bushing right there, and you can see it's saturated. I oiled it up. And let's see, we can get the other one. There's the other one. Same thing. I lubed it all up. Not too sure if that was the problem. What I think the actual problem was this dust shield right here. I think it was barely rubbing on the back of the rotor. I had checked the rotors for any scratches. I thought maybe a rock had originally got caught into it, but there were no gouges, no scratches and stuff. Literally, like, just the slightest little touch of that dust shield on the back of the rotor vibrates a noise through the front suspension of this car that just mimics the craziest metal on metal howl. So what I did was I just pushed it back just a little bit all around. I lubed up those lower control arm bushings, and I just took this thing for a drive, and she's so quiet. It's so nice. It's sometimes, guys, you got to be careful when you're doing at-home repairs. Even if you see a whole bunch of people have a problem that mimics your problem, you know, especially if it's going to be an expensive repair, like these wheel bearings would have been, you know, a couple $100, and the time and labor to take them off. Before you go that route, cancel out all other possibilities. Double check, triple check. Check all that easy stuff, because sometimes that's all it is. Took me 2 seconds to bend the plate back, spray some lube just in case it was those lower control arm bushings, and this car is very, very quiet now, and saved ourselves minimum a couple $100. Anyways, guys, have a good one. Keep on wrenching on those cars. We'll talk to you soon.